Hey, everybody. Welcome to week 4 of our marketing boot camp. This week marks the second half of our boot camp. The next 3 weeks, I am super excited to be able to share with you. But before I get into it, I want to kind of recap what we talked about those first 3 weeks, because over this whole course, everything will be brought together. I know I'm giving it to you a piece at a time. So right now, you might be a little overwhelmed. You may not be able to apply it to your business really well or at all yet. But don't worry, we're going to continue to put the pieces together, and I can work with you to help you be able to put this into practice with your own business. So really, what we talked about the first week, we really focused on building that distribution list, right? We talked first about creating that dream customer, understanding who that customer is and what does that person look like, all the way down to giving them a name, a personality, somebody that you can envision in front of you when you're trying to sell your service or your product, right? Then from there, we talked about creating a Godfather offer for this person, creating an offer that they can't refuse. What kind of offer can you give them based on what you're trying to sell that's going to make it the greatest experience that they could ever have? The better you can do at this, the faster and quicker you can scale your business and grow your distribution list. Finally, we talked about building that irresistible offer. What does that look like? How do we present that? And then building the vehicle, which we talked about. We had a video, hopefully you're able to watch it, by a guy named Russell Brunson, who talks about building marketing funnels. Excuse me. So we kind of went through this. We had the idea that we build that funnel, we create the offer within that funnel so we can give everybody a singular focus as we drive them through. And I may have said this in the past, I don't remember if I have, but basically what we're doing is we're creating a bridge. We're creating a bridge from where your potential customer is at, from when you're going to grab them, all the way to where you want them to be, and getting them to inside your website and getting them into your company and to your business. So that's all we're doing here, is we're creating that bridge, and we're inviting people in and helping them cross over that bridge so that we can build rapport and ascend them up our marketing tower. So the next 3 weeks, what we're going to do is we are going to talk about how to tell a story. And when we look at the whole thing, we're starting and we're learning about this kind of backwards, but with any marketing plan, it's very simple. All you need is a hook, a story, and an offer. And that's really what we're focusing on, is those 3 things. And so we talked about the offer already. So now we are going to talk about the story. So this week, I'm going to teach you guys how to tell a story that will sell your product. And from there, we got to create a hook. A hook is basically the headline, is the front end, the very first thing that our potential customer is going to see. We have to get that right. So next week, we're going to talk about how to create hooks, how to write hooks, how to write headlines that are easy and are effective for our customers to see or hear, whether we do a video, whether we do an ad, whatever we do. We want a hook that is going to be effective to drive them into our funnel. We could have the greatest funnel in the world, but if nobody sees it, it does us no good. We have to drive them in with a really good hook, headline, and a really good story. You can tell the story in many different ways and many different varieties, but we have to have that foundation story. So what we're going to talk about today is how to tell a story that will sell your business. That was the wrong one. Go back. Why did you do that to me? All right. So we're going to talk about this. All right. So I got this. I'm going to be transparent. This was not my idea. None of this I came up with. None of this is from me. This is stuff that I have learned. And majority of this I have learned from one of the best marketing books I ever read, Donald Miller's Building a Story Brand. Donald Miller is he writes books. He writes scripts. He's a very smart guy. And he took everything he learned from writing scripts, from writing stories, and he realized that how that relates to marketing, that we need to tell a story in the same way. The same way you would tell a story in a movie, you can tell a story in your script, in your copywriting, that you can drive somebody through. And so he put the 2 together, he related it to marketing and found how effective it can be. So most of this I've taken from Donald Miller's Building a Story Brand. So Now, basically, I'm going to put a link on the membership site for you guys to be able to get this book if you're interested. It's a great book. It's not very long, but if you want to learn more and dig into all of this in a deeper, more specific detail, it's only like, I think 200, maybe 300 pages. It's not very long, but it really, really digs into each one of these and really teaches you how to structure your message and your story to sell anything and to drive people into a funnel, into your marketing plan. But today I'm going to give you an overview. I could talk about each one of these for hours. We're going to kind of go through a high level overview. I'm going to share with you some ideas and some thoughts. And like always, I am always available for you to be able to give me a call or reach out to me or schedule a time. If you want to sit down with me, I can help you with this part as well, along with any other part, to go through and relate it to your business and help create these plans for you. I've been doing this for a very, very long time. I don't expect any of you to be experts. And if you remember back at the very beginning, the pre-meeting, the pre-class introduction that I did before we started each of our lessons, I talked about the idea that there's no way as a business owner, you got too much on your plate that you're going to be able to do this all on your own. So if you can find people to delegate things off to and to give things to, but you understand the structure, and so you know what you're doing, and you can have experts in each area do different parts for you, you're going to have a lot more success. And I would be happy. I'm an expert at this. I do this. I'd be happy to work with you and to help build this for your business personally. So, but let's dig into this a little bit. And to do that, I'm actually going to give you the link to this as well. But, actually, let me take a step back. Let me go through each one real quick. So with any story that you have, with any script, you see this in movies all the time. You see this in books. Everywhere you go, you're going to see the same type of pattern. I might ruin movies for you in the future because you're going to be able to recognize this after I go this. When you're going to watch movies, you're going to say, oh, yeah, that makes sense. When you think back on almost any movie you've seen, you'll see the same type of structure that you go through, right? So today we're going to talk about character. All right, first we have to know who our character is. It's not you. Your character is the customer. Your customer or your character has a problem that he has to solve. Think about this in any movie. You run into this problem that they have to solve. Along the way, they meet a guide who helps them, show them the next steps, and helps guide them on the right path. Then gives them a plan saying, here's what you need to do to be able to accomplish this. You need to do this and this. Someone who's been there before, someone who understands the problem, someone who can actually help them do it, right? Then it calls them to action. Now you need to start. Now you need to take that first step forward to get this done. And then the end of the movie, it always ends in success. Well, not all movies end in success, but in marketing, right? We want to show that it ends in success. We want to show what that success is, or we want to show how it helped him avoid failure and what that failure would have looked like if they didn't work with you, or if they didn't do whatever you helped them with for the product and service. And then we look at what the character transformation is and how that character transformed throughout this process. So I'm going to actually move over to this right here. This is mystory.com. This is something that you can get for free. You go to it, you can download it, you can log in, and you can have this. There's a paid version of this as well, but it gives you a certain amount of scripts for free that you can kind of use. And I use this all the time whenever I'm working with any type of clients and we're trying to tell the story. This is what I go through, and I try to figure out who we're talking to, and write out this story. So then from this story, we can create all kinds of messages, whether it be display messages, Facebook messages, YouTube messages, TV messages, even if you wanted to do billboard messages. Doesn't matter what you do, this will help you create the right type of message. So the first thing is we need to know the character. And what we need to answer is, what does your character want? So if you think back to week 2, we talked about, we already, at this point, if you followed along and you've been able to successfully build this, at this point, you have identified your dream client. Now you have to ask the question is, what does my client want? Or what does my customer want as it relates to the product or service? Okay, so we have to be able to answer that question really, really well What do they want? When you think of any single movie, every movie starts with your main character wanting something. And you think of the very classic movie. Maybe you guys haven't seen it. Most people have, so I'm going to use it. My wife actually hasn't, but hopefully most of you guys have seen it. It's Star Wars. It's very classic. Excuse me. It's classic. And you start with the character of Luke Skywalker. What does Luke Skywalker want? Luke Skywalker wants to get out of his farming society that he's in, and he wants to go help the Republic. That's what he wants. Now, I'm going to dig a little bit deeper, because as I study this and go a little bit deeper as well, whenever you create a story, actually, whenever you look at it, the main character, there's a couple different things. They either want something, they're trying to get away from something, they're trying to stop something, or they're trying to get a hold of something, right? They're trying to gain something. So those are the four main things that your character is looking to do. In every single movie, you will see the same pattern. Every well-written movie, I should say, and book, the same pattern will come through. So as you're developing your character and you ask, what do they want? Figure out, based on what you're trying to sell them, is it something that they're trying to stop, right? So maybe you're in consulting and they're continuing to fail. Like in my situation, one thing that my character could want is to avoid is stop spending money on marketing that doesn't work. They want to stop something. And so that could be my character is, hey, they want to stop that. So my character is trying to stop wasting money on marketing that doesn't work, right? So you kind of look through and decide, what does your character want, all right? So we got that. The next thing we always run into is they have a problem, all right? Now the problem, and when we look at this, there's three types, well, there's a problem, right? Most of the time, if you do this really, really well, if you can personify, that's the word, that problem as a villain and really, really shape it out as something that's actually tangible, something you could see. But the villain is, there's a root cause of your customer's problem. What is that root cause? And can you personify that root cause as a villain? What is a villain in your customer story? So to give you an example, a very, very simple example, because I think most, if not all of us, have seen the commercials for washing your bathroom, like the scrub bathroom, right? What do they always personify the villain as? It's germs. So they give the germ a little cartoon germ that's angry and wants to hurt you. You've seen this throughout so many commercials where they personify a villain in a certain way that you can see them and you can relate to them and say, yeah, that's what it feels like. So if you can actually personify the root cause as a villain and really, really shape that villain in your story of what that would be, okay? So obviously using the same analogy with Star Wars, who's our villain? Our villain is Darth Vader, right? We're introduced to Darth Vader, and right away when you watch that New Hope, Darth Vader is shown as the bad guy. You know, he chokes people to death. Everybody's afraid of him. He has high power, and you know that he's the villain. So you want to be able to personify that villain if you can, with really identifying that problem. Now, the other thing to remember is whenever there's layers to that problem. So your character is going to have a problem. So let me use another example, right? Let's say you are selling lawn fertilizer, right? We need to figure out what the problem is. And so there's three levels of that problem that we think about. So if we use this idea of I sell lawn fertilizer that makes lawns green, our character is that homeowner who really wants their lawn to be green. They're a do-it-yourselfer type person. They care about their lawn. They care about what they look like. So you're going to have three levels of problem. The first is the external problem. Same in movies. Your external problem. What is the problem your customer deals with on an external level? So if I'm selling lawn fertilizers, that external problem is my lawn is yellow. My lawn has patches in it. My lawn doesn't look nice. That's the external problem. Very, very simple, very, very straightforward. Many, many businesses, when they are marketing, they stop at the external problem and they don't go any deeper, which makes it much less effective, right? So that's why you got to dig a little bit deeper and you got to think about what is the internal problem. The internal problem is how does that problem, that villain, make that customer feel, right? So in this case, let's say the villain is basically yellow grass, right? And you could personify that. It might be a little silly, but using the same thing as a germ. You could personify that as little weeds killing your grass, overcoming your grass, like a battle between weeds and your grass, and the weeds are winning, and they have their big axes, and they're screaming and yelling, saying, move forward, and the grass is losing. But then we have the eternal problem, and that eternal problem is not so much that the grass is yellow, it's that what do the neighbors think of me when they see my lawn? They think that if I can't take care of my lawn, maybe that means I can't take care of my house. Maybe my house is messy. I can't take care of my family. I'm unorganized, or I don't get things done, or I'm lazy. How does that make me feel when everybody else in my block has these green lawns and mine is yellow and patchy? And by the way, I speak from personal experience because my lawn is yellow and patchy. And I am terrible. I do not have a green thumb. I've been trying to work on it, not to get into it. But if we can understand how the villain makes our hero of this story, how they feel, then if we can execute a message that hits them on that internal level, then we have a much, much more effective, because they can now look at it and relate to it and say, yeah, I have that problem. That's how I feel. And that's how people buy. We all know this. They buy with emotion. The third part is philosophical. It's just plain wrong. Why is it just plain wrong for your customer to be burdened by this problem, right? So if we can kind of talk about on the philosophical level of just thinking, this just shouldn't be this way. It shouldn't be this hard to grow green grass. It really shouldn't. We should be able to just have green grass. Why are these weeds so pesky? And why are these weeds so always fighting against us? It shouldn't be this hard. So if we can hit on those three levels in our marketing campaigns and really tell that story and really, really be able to convey that story to your character, to your client or customer, we're going to have a much more effective way of driving them in to our story. So the next part is we meet a guide. All right. So here's the thing. I want you guys all to remember this. And I believe this has always been true, but things were different. 60s, 70s, and 80s. I researched and read a lot of marketing books. And I've read a lot of marketing books, especially from the 60s, during the Mad Men days. One of the things they talked about is they created the company was always the hero of that story. They always made the company the hero. And maybe that worked really, really well back then, but at least today, your hero is your customer. They're the hero of the story. You are the guide of that story. So going back to our Star Wars analogy, right? You have Luke Skywalker. He wants to get out of this farm, and he wants to be able to go join the Republic. The villain in that story we get introduced to is Darth Vader. He is the leader of the Empire. He's very powerful, and he's perceived as very, very evil, right? So now we have a problem, because in that show, his uncle and his aunt and uncle are killed in the story, and now he has this problem where he's got this villain who's pretty much why they were killed, because they're trying to find Princess Leia and find these plans. So there's an external problem that he has, that his family was killed. And now he has an internal, because now what does he got to do? He's got to go. He's forced to go. He's got to go make a decision. He's got to do something. Go join the Republic. Go help somehow. And so what does he do? He meets a guide. Who is this guide? Obi-Wan Kenobi. Obi-Wan Kenobi is somebody who understands, for the most part, what Luke Skywalker is going through, because he's fought the Republic, or he's fought the Empire. He's met Darth Vader. He knows Darth Vader very personally. He understands the situation. So what does he show? He shows empathy and understanding to Luke Skywalker. He knows what Luke has to do next, and he has the authority to do it. So with any type, whenever we create, especially when we're creating those landing pages, those first landing pages. A very, very important concept that we got to lead. When we lead them into those landing pages, we have to show empathy. So we have to express somehow that we understand how they feel. We understand, going back to our grass, right? We understand that their grass is yellow and we know how they feel. We know that it makes them look bad to their neighbors. We know that those weeds are always fighting and they're just a pain in the butt to be able to defeat. So we have empathy and we have understanding because we've solved the problem. We've seen how it gets solved. And so now we need to demonstrate our authority. How do we know this? How do you trust us? Most of the time that's done through simple testimonials, right? We've had this product, we've been able to solve it, we've done a really good job. Here's all these people who have tried our product that we've helped guide them through. Now remember, your character is the one making a decision. Your character is the one that's making the grass green, but you are guiding them to the solution. So when they make that decision and they use your product, they're the heroes of the story, but they cause your grass to go green because you guided them in. And you have to show that authority. Then what so many businesses miss right here, so simple. You have to give them a plan of action. This is a simple action statement. How many businesses have I seen where I go to their website and there's no plan of action? The only thing you see on that website that is supposed to be the action is contact us. We don't tell them what to do. We don't guide them in any direction. We don't share with them how we can help them. We simply say, contact us. I go back to the story that I shared with you a couple weeks ago about the Verizon. Going into an empty Verizon store and having all of the phones there saying with all the brochures that you can research and study yourself, and then you see a sign that says, contact us. It's not going to be effective. And we do it all the time online. It's highly ineffective, right? We've got to tell them what to do. We cannot assume they know what to do. One of the things, and I mentioned this before, Donald Miller coined the phrase. He said, if you confuse, you lose. If we take them to our website and the only thing we say is contact us, here's everything that we have to offer. Here's how long we've been in business. Here is me and my wife and how we started this business back in 1885 and blah, 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 right? It doesn't matter. Nobody cares. We have to guide them through a very specific funnel, a very specific plan of action to solve their problem. How long you've been a company, it's good to know how great your customer service is. That's awesome. But nobody cares until you solve their problem, right? So then to solve their problem though, you may be able to solve it, but if you don't tell them what the first steps they need to take, it'll do you no good. So you can do a really, really good job identifying that problem, showing them, making them say, oh yeah, I have that problem. I have yellow grass. Oh, you guys have been there. You created this thing. You've seen other people. That's awesome. Now you say, contact us. You're going to lose them because you've done nothing to drive them. You got to create, it's like you're trying to get them to cross this river. And so you can't just say, hey, I can help you cross this river. This is what I would do to cross the river. No. You have to lay down the rocks. You have to lay down that path and let them step on those rocks so they know exactly how to cross that river. So that you have to give them that plan. And then this part, then the agreement. Okay? You want to make an agreement with them. Once you tell them the plan, once you tell them step one, right? Click on here, give us your name and your email, and we will send you a free whatever. Maybe it's a free bag of our seed, right? Step two, once you receive that bag, do this. Step three, sprinkle it over your lawn, water it consistently for 4 days, and you will see green grass. Then we want to make an agreement. That agreement is we are going to alleviate your fear. Because every single time, and you guys, you'll be able to relate with this, like you'll be able to see this, right? Whenever something new is offered to you, or anything at all is ever offered to you, depending on the price, if it's super cheap, there's very little fear in it. But if it's more expensive, the more fear there is to it. Because that fear is, what if it doesn't work? What if I'm wrong? What if I spend all this time and money on a product and it doesn't work? Then I am the fool. I feel like an idiot. And you'll be surprised of how many times people don't take that next step because they're afraid that it might not work, and they will feel it. And going back to how they feel, it's not so much that it doesn't work that makes them mad, it's how they feel. They feel like they've been hustled. They feel like a fool. They feel like they tell their friends, oh yeah, I bought this stuff and it doesn't work. I feel like an idiot. I should have researched it more, right? So what we have to do is we have to make an agreement with them. We can't just make this bold promise and say, good luck. We have to make an agreement that says, hey, if this doesn't work, I will guarantee, I'll give you, you'll see a lot of times with a money back guarantee, right? Use this product. If your grass is not greener, then I'll give you 100% money back guarantee. Or I'll give you the first bag that will seed your front yard or half your yard or whatever. That'll get so many square feet. I'll give you the first bag for free so you can try it. So that's the two main ways that you see a lot of people: money back guarantee or try it and see. Let us prove to you that it works, and then you can buy more from us. So that is the agreement that you want to be able to make with your customers, and you'll get a much higher response rate when you alleviate those fears. Oh, if it doesn't work, that's okay. I can just return it. Or I get it for free. I can test it out and make sure it works. So that is a very important part, and many, many businesses are too afraid to do that, or they don't do that because they're afraid that so many people are going to return. You got to be confident in your product. If you're not confident in your product and you think it's going to be returned a lot, then you're not in the wrong business. You need to close down right away, right? I try to do that with me when I talk about this marketing. Part of what this is that agreement with you guys. I want to teach you a system that I believe with all my heart, it works. So I'm giving you this information for free and teaching you guys how to do this so that you will have a foundation, and hopefully I can work with you more in the future to help you build these plans out and create successful plans. But I want to make this agreement with you that I have a product that's going to work, and it's going to work well if you take those next steps. So the next part is calls them to action. Okay? So this is really, really simple, right? There's two types here. There's a direct action. The direct action this action is just right away. Click on here, give me your name and number, hit submit, and boom, you got your product. We're sending you the product. We'll send you the book. We'll schedule the appointment. Whatever that is, that's a direct call to action that we give people. Most of the time, whenever I work with clients, 95% of the time, this is what I use. They're very, very direct. But there's also a transitional call to action that you can use. Now, this is really, really used really, really well when you're going after cold traffic. Remember, we talked about cold traffic. That's people who don't know who you are. They don't know that they really had a problem, and you introduce that problem to them. They're going to take longer. They're going to go through a longer pre-frame bridge because you got to be able to show them what that problem is, that they need a solution, and that you can help them. You have to educate them. So transitional call to action is going to be more of, before you order the product, click here, right? And give me your email, and I'm going to send you some information. I'm going to send you this video. I'm going to send you this free guide or this free book that you can read. And once you have your name, then they can get educated on what you have, and then you can ramp them up and send them another email. Maybe you could create 3 separate videos that talk about certain specific things about your product, and over the course of a week, you can send them each video as they watch them. And then they can, at the end of that, they're educated. Then you say, all right, now that you're educated, I have this solution that I can help you with if you like it. Then you do the direct call to action. So, and for many of you guys, you're probably watching this wondering, how would that work for me? Don't worry about that. Most of you are going to use it direct, but transitional is a way to do it. And like I said before, I can always help. If I do a transitional, whenever I work with clients, I decide which way to go. Sometimes transitional is it. It just depends on the type of business that you have that you're going to use a transitional call to action. All right. Then going further on our story, we look at, and I'm going to move this. Oh, come on, move for me. Okay. We're going to move my face over here. Not that you want to look at it anyway, but instant success. Every single story we look at, we want to look at not all stories, not all movies end in success, but in the marketing standpoint, we want to look at ending in success. List the positive changes your customer will experience if they use your product or service. What is the outcome going to be when they use it, right? And this can be shown visually. This can be shown through words. I can't tell you how many marketing campaigns I've looked at in the past, and I will see someone someone who's selling, I don't know, cell phones, or someone who's selling a service like a chiropractor or something like that. And you look at their website and they have a picture of their building. And I ask them the same question. Are you selling buildings? No, you're not selling buildings. Are you selling, if you're a dentist, right? Are you selling white teeth? Yeah, but that's not really what you're selling. You know what you're selling? You are selling not courage. Hang on. I'm trying to think of the word. You are selling confidence. Because people who go to the dentist and they want their teeth whitened, if we use this as an example, right? When they smile and their teeth are yellow, they're self-confident about it, right? They're self-conscious about it. So what you're actually selling is not necessarily white teeth. You're selling the emotional end, and you're selling the confidence in your smile. And that's what you're doing. And so you want to show happy, smiling people with white teeth, excited that before they had yellow teeth. You see this, right? You see this all the time. It's effective. You have to show what the success looks like in your messaging. Most of the time it's done through pictures. Sometimes it can be done through story, through video, right? We want to show that success. And then we have this part here. This is kind of the last part. And that is, you can do either or, you can do both. Sometimes this is more effective because it's going to help them avoid failure. Studies have shown that people are more effective to actually do something when they avoid failure. They're more afraid of failure than they are encouraged in success. So if you can show the negative consequences, if you don't go to this dentist and get the teeth whitening product that they have, you are going to have yellow teeth. Your smile is never going to get good. You're going to be self-conscious. You're never going to look good in pictures. You could get extreme as you're going to, it might be hard to find a boyfriend or a girlfriend, but you're always going to be a little self-conscious and scared to smile the rest of your life. And it's going to end in failure. It's going to end in never, ever really, really hoping and gaining that success, gaining that satisfaction of having a white, happy smile because of your teeth, right? Same thing. Let's go back to the yard thing, right? Ends in failure. If you don't get our product, you're going to continue to have a yellow, patchy lawn where the weeds are going to win. The weeds are going to fight and they are going to win, and you're going to be embarrassed by your neighbors because they all have green grass and you have yellow patchy grass. And what are they going to think of you? You're going to avoid that whole embarrassing situation because we help guide you to use our product. Pretty amazing. The last part, character transformation. Now, this is not so much said as it is just shown through each marketing thing. The character transfer, every single movie that you watch, pretty much every single story, you'll see a character transformation. They go from one thing to another. A great example is the story Cars. I don't know how many of you guys have seen Cars. If you have kids, you've probably seen it. If you don't have kids, I still would have watched it if I didn't have kids, but I watched it with my kids. I love that movie. But that very first movie of Cars, he wants to win that race. That's his whole job, is to win that cup. That's all he wants to do, right? Then he gets stuck breaks down and he gets stuck at this small gas station on Route 66, and he's held from doing that. Then he meets a guide, right? And for the life of me, I can't remember the name of that old car, but it was an old racer that he meets. But think about it, not to get too deep into it. At the end of that movie, his whole goal was to win that race, and that guide taught him how to win that race, but also taught him something more important. And he comes to the end of that race, and his buddy breaks down and can no longer go. He stops right before he's about to be a champion. He backs up, he grabs his friend, and he helps his friend across the finish line. In that story, that's why it's so amazing about that story, is because he had a character transformation. What was so important to him before about winning that cup, he realizes the cup is not as important. as being a great racer and helping other people. And he asked him in the end of that story, his friend asks him, he's like, how you lost the cup? That was the most important thing. And he said, it's just an empty cup. There was something more important. And he went through a character transformation. So that's what you want to talk about, is your customers' feeling about themselves before they use your product to what they go through, what that transformation is when they use that product, right? They go from being that person who feels self-conscious about having that yellow yard to all of a sudden, man, I am a green thumb. I've created this. I've built this green. I've used the right products, and I got myself a green grass. And they realize at the end that they have, it's not so much that they have green grass, is that they have the ability to create green grass. What an amazing story to tell, right? They can feel confident about themselves and that they can do anything, and it makes them feel very, very strong in that area. How does it make them feel, and what's that transformation? And like I said, that can be done through story, that can be done through video, that can be done by a picture on an ad. And we drive them to this. So this is the story that we want to tell. We tell this on our landing pages that we create as we drive people to our offer. We tell this story on any of our ads that we have. Maybe very, very quick. It might just be the beginning of the story. It might be we just introduce the story. And that's what we're talking about next week, is the hook, how we get them in, but we want to tell the story. So one of the things I forgot to mention too, and if you read that book, and I really encourage you guys, check out Donald Miller, read that book. But here's a really, really cool thing, is when we create that hook and we start that story out, what we're doing is we are creating a gap. We are creating, once we introduce the problem, we're creating a story gap in that story, to where we have a character who's here and they need to get, who's here and they need to get here, right? So we have this gap in between, and that's usually the problem. The problem is that gap. They've got to go from here to have success. And then we have the problem, and sometimes it's multiple problems in the middle that we have to overcome. And that's what the guide does. We have to close that gap. Mentally, if we can open a story gap to our customers, they're going to want to go through. When they get started, they have a much higher rate of going through till the end, because us naturally as human beings, when there is a problem that needs to be solved, we got to keep working on it until it's solved. I mean, test it out. Try to start a puzzle and just get the outlines done and leave it on your table and don't touch it again. How does that make you feel? Right? Even if you don't like puzzles, but you do that, you put the puzzle out and you just start it and you don't finish it, it's going to drive you crazy. No matter, even if you hate doing puzzles, it's still going to drive you crazy. And eventually, I guarantee you, eventually you're going to probably finish that puzzle, right? Or you might throw it all away. I don't know. But you're still going to want to. It's going to drive you crazy that it's not finished. And that's how we are. So we have to be able to open that story gap, introduce that problem, be the guide that takes them. Here's how you get, here's your gap. Here's how you get from here to here. This is how I can help you. If you just take the steps, take the plan that I give you, take these steps, here's how you get started, and here's what it's going to look like when you do it. And you get very, very creative with this. This to me is the art of any marketing plan. If you guys can get really, really good at this, you can increase your marketing. I just want to say tenfold. I mean, I don't know exactly how much, but you could really, really grow your marketing through this. So that's it for today. That is telling a story. Now, at the end of this, on that, I'm going to give you a link to be able to buy StoryBrand. There's also going to be another link of Donald Miller. Really, really good. He did a little class. You can find it on YouTube too, but I'll send you guys the link. He talks to people about building a tag or a tagline on their websites and about their company and how to create a very clear tagline. And it's really, really effective. It goes along with this. So I'm going to share that with you as well. It's only like 5 to 6 minutes long. I think it's a short one to watch, but I think it'll be very, very helpful to you. So I'm going to put that on there as well. I really appreciate your guys' time. I hope you find this valuable. And like always, if you need help, if you want to meet, just schedule a meeting, give me a call. My number is going to be on there. Send me an email, whatever you want to do. Just get in touch with me. Say, hey, let's meet. Let's go through this, and I'll help you with any portion of this that you need help with. All right, guys, have a good day, and hope to talk with you soon.